Morning dear students. Well, in the last class we have discussed about Newton's first law, about inertia and how the inertia and mass both are related. So in today's class we will discuss about the two kinds of inertia. So the two kinds of inertia are inertia of rest inertia of motion. Now in today's class we will discuss these two kinds of inertia one by one. So first one is about inertia of rest. So well, inertia of rest is nothing but if a body is in a state of rest, it will be in a state of rest until an external force is applied on that body to change its state. This is called as inertia of rest. So for example, just assume a book is lying on a table. So it will be continuously in a state of rest until an external force is applied on that book to change its state. Right? So like this, let us see some examples which are related to the inertia of rest. So first example. If a train suddenly starts to move, the passenger standing in the compartment of a train, he tends to fall backwards. So the reason is that the lower part of the passenger is closely in contact with the compartment of a train. So the lower part of the passenger suddenly starts to move in a forward direction in the direction of motion of train. But the upper part of the passenger train, due to the inertia of rest, it will be remains in that position. So it is left behind. Due to that reason, the upper part of the passenger will tends to fall backwards, but the lower part of the passenger will tends to move forward in the direction of motion of train. So it is due to the inertia of rest. The passenger standing in the compartment of a train tends to fall backwards when a train suddenly starts to move. So that is the first example. So now let us see the second example. So just to consider a carpet, take a stick and strike the stick to the carpet. So then you will see that the carpet will move in the direction of stick, but the dust particles which are present on the carpet, they will fall downwards due to the earth's pull. So this is the reason why the dust particles will fall down. So what is the reason for that? It is inertia of rest. So when a stick, the part of the carpet where the stick strikes, it moves in the direction of stick. It comes in a state of motion. But the dust particles, due to inertia of rest, they will remain in that position. They left behind. So due to the earth's pull, they falls in a downward direction. So that is the second example. And third one. So when the branches of a tree are shaken, then the weakly and massive fruits, they falls in a downward direction because of earth's pull. So here when the branches of a trees are shaken, they comes in a state of motion, but due to the inertia of rest, the massive and weakly attached fruits, they falls in a downward direction due to the earth's pull. So that is another example. And next example is, so just you consider glass and just you place a smooth card on that glass. Okay, so on this surface of the smooth card, just you place 1 rupee or 2 rupee coin, then flip the card in horizontal direction, so not in the vertical direction. So you have to flip the smooth card in a horizontal direction. So when you flip the card in horizontal direction, so then it comes into state of motion, but the coin which is placed over the card, due to its inertia of rest, it will be remains in that position, and due to the earth's pull, it falls into the glass. So this is the other example. And next example is, I think many of you played many games in your houses during this lockdown period, and most of you played, I think, a carom. So while playing a carom, you may observe that, so when the coins are placed one above the other, with the help of striker, if you hits the lower point, then only the lower point will move away, but the remaining all coins which are placed one above the other, they will be remain in their positions, and ultimately they takes the place of lower point. So this is because of the inertia of rest. When the lower point hits with the help of striker, it comes in a state of motion because a force is applied on the lower point, so it will be comes in a state of motion. But the upper points, the coins which are placed one above the other, due to inertia of rest, they will be remains in their positions, and due to the earth's pull, they takes the place of lower point. So this is the other example. Understood? So these are the some examples which shows about the inertia of rest. So now let us see what do you mean by inertia of motion. So inertia of motion is nothing but it is exactly opposite to the inertia of rest. So inertia of rest, the body is in a state of rest. So here inertia of motion, if your body is in a state of motion, it will be moving with the same speed in the same path unless an external force is applied on that body to stop it. That is called as inertia of motion. So what is inertia of motion? If your body is in a state of motion, initially it is in a state of motion, right? If no force is acting on that moving object, forever it will be in a state of motion. But if any force is acting on that moving object, it will come to an rest, right? Unless and until an external force is applied on that moving object, the body will be continuously in a state of motion. So that property of a body is called as inertia of motion. Now let us see some examples which are related to the inertia of motion. See, just assume you are traveling in a car. If the car suddenly stops, your upper part will tend to fall forward. The reason is that, so when a car is in a state of motion, it will be considered that your body is also in a state of motion. Alright? At that time, if the car suddenly stops, the lower part of the body is in closely contact with the car, then it will come to at rest immediately, but due to the inertia of motion of upper part, it won't comes to at rest immediately. So due to that reason, the upper part of our body tends to fall forward when the car suddenly stops. So that is because of inertia of motion. So that is one example, and the second example is about, so I think you may experience this. So if you jumped out from a moving vehicle, then as soon as your feet touches the ground, you will fall down. That is because of inertia of motion. So when a vehicle is in a state of motion, the whole your body will be considered as in a state of motion. So still the vehicle is in a state of motion. When you jumped out of that moving vehicle, then as soon as your feet touches the ground, the feet will come to at rest immediately, but the upper part will be in a state of motion, right? So that will not come to at rest immediately. So for that reason, we will fall. So to avoid falling, so when you jump out from the moving vehicle, as soon as your feet touches the ground, you have to move in the direction of moving vehicle, or you have to run. in the direction of moving vehicle. So this avoids falling. So this is the example which relates to the inertia of motion. And just as if you are riding a bicycle, I am telling you about next example now. Just you are riding a bicycle by applying the force on the pedal, right? So after some time, if you stop applying force on the pedal, what will happen? The bicycle will still remains in a state of motion and it covers some distance. After that, it will come to at rest. That is because of frictional force. So here, even though if you stop applying force on a pedal, then the cycle will remain in a state of motion. If that frictional force is not there, the bicycle will remain in a continuous state of motion. So due to the frictional force, it covers some distance and it will come to at rest. So this is the other examples which relates about the inertia of motion. Next. So I think you may have seen the athletic games. While an athlete taking the long jump, often before he runs from a long distance. So this is because of by running he brings up his whole body into a state of motion. So when he brings up his whole body into a state of motion, it is very easy for a person to take the long jump. So just as if you are standing at one place and if I told you to jump means you will cover only at some distance because initially your body is in a state of rest. But if I told you to jump by taking some long running from a certain distance, then you can take a very long jump. So that is because of when a person is in a state of motion, it is very easy for him to take a long jump. So that's why an athletic takes running before taking the long jump. So that is other example. And the last example about this inertia of motion. So if anything is thrown in upward direction in a moving train, so that thrown object will come to your hand directly. So it won't fall or it won't move sideways. Directly it will come into your hand. So this is also because of inertia of motion. So here the train is in a state of motion. So whenever a train is in a state of motion, the passenger will be also considered as in a state of motion. Thus, when any object is thrown in upwards in a moving train, at that moment when it is in air, it will be also considered as in a state of motion. So at that moment, the body is in a state of motion and our body is also in a state of motion, and the air which is present in that train is also considered as in a state of motion. So everything which is present in that moving train is in a state of motion. So if an object is thrown up into the air in a moving train, so that body is also considered as in a state of motion and it falls into your hand directly. It doesn't fall sideways or it doesn't fall in other direction. So this is because of the inertia of motion. So up to here, your second part of laws of motion chapter is completed. So I will start the third part. So that is linear momentum. Linear momentum and the second law of motion. So just to understand the linear momentum, we have to understand some examples. Consider two bodies of different mass. So this is body A having mass m1 and this is body B having mass m2. So here the mass of the body B is less than mass of the body A. So these two bodies are traveling with same velocity. if you want to stop these two bodies at the same time, the force needed to apply on the body A is more compared to the body B. So why? Because the mass of body A is more compared to the body B. So for this reason, we need to apply more amount of force on a body A to stop it. Right? So from this example, we may conclude that the force needed to stop the body is depends on mass. So next, try to understand the next example. Here, two bodies of same mass. So now A and B are the two bodies are having same mass, but they are moving with different velocities. Consider body A is moving faster compared to body B. So understand the force needed to stop these two objects at the same time is different. Here the force needed to stop the faster moving body A is more compared to the body B, because the body A is moving with the greater velocity. So the force is needed, more amount of force is needed to stop the body A. Right? If a body is moving with greater velocity, we need to apply more amount of force to stop that object. So here the force needed to stop the body is depends on the velocity. If body is moving with a greater velocity, we need to apply more amount of force. So from these two examples, the force needed to stop the body is depends on two factors. That is, one is mass of the body and one more is velocity of the body. So in fact, the linear momentum, or simply it is called as momentum, it is the product of mass and velocity. Momentum is the product of mass and velocity. So momentum is represented by symbol P. So where P is linear momentum, or simply it is called as momentum. So it is the product of mass and velocity of an object. So just see the SI unit of momentum here. It is the SI unit of mass and velocity. The SI unit of mass is kg. SI unit of velocity is meter per second. So the kg meter per second is the SI unit of momentum, and the CGS unit of momentum is gram centimeter per second. So this is the CGS unit of momentum, and kg meter per second is the SI unit of momentum. So this is all about the momentum. So momentum is the product of mass and velocity. So momentum is mainly depends on two factors. One is mass and one more is velocity. So next is about change in momentum. Just now we understood that momentum is written as P is equals to m into v. So the change in momentum, the change in any physical quantity is represented by the symbol delta. So what is this? Delta represents change in any physical quantity. So now we have taken one physical quantity, that is momentum. So change in momentum is given as change in mass into velocity. So here from this relation we can conclude that the change in momentum either due to change in mass or due to change in velocity or due to change in these two physical quantities. Since we know already mass is always remains constant, so this equation can be written as delta P is equals to m delta V. So here, while mass of a particle or any object is considered as constant, means that body or that particles what we are going to consider, it is not moving with the speed of velocity of light, or it is moving with the velocity of It is not moving with the velocity of light. So for that reason, the mass of a particle or any object is considered to be constant. So when the mass of an object is changes, or when a mass of a particle is changes, that is only when a particle is moving with the velocity of light. So the velocity of light is represented by symbol c. So velocity of a particle or a body is represented by v. So here the velocity of light is always greater than velocity of an object or a particle. So in this case only we will consider the mass of a body is not changes. It will be remains constant. It does not vary much. If the velocity of a particle is equals to the velocity of light, then the mass of a body or a particle is changes according to with its velocity. So in general we are considering the mass of a particle or any object is constant because of that body or particle do not moving with the velocity of light. So that's why mass of an object is considered as constant. So however, for the change in velocity, change in momentum is equals to delta mv. So this equation or this relation is true only. This relation is true only when the body is moving with lesser speed compared to the speed of light. So then the mass of a body is considered a constant. So for however this equation, this relation is true, that is delta p is equal to delta m into v. So next, rate of change in momentum. So now we have understood that change in momentum is given as m into delta v. Here mass is considered as constant. And you know the rate is nothing but we are going to consider about the time. So rate of change in momentum is represented or defined as, so it is the ratio of change in momentum divided by time. Rate of change in momentum is equals to rate it is the ratio of change in momentum divided by time. So that is delta p is divided by delta t is equals to m delta v divided by delta t. So here delta p divided by delta t is equals to m. So what is change in velocity divided by time? That is the acceleration. You know already what is the acceleration? The change in velocity divided by time. It is called as acceleration. So there m into a, or this is considered delta p divided by delta t. So this is change in momentum with the time. So that is considered as force. So force is equal to ma. So this equation is considered as Newton's second law. So F is equals to ma. So here the force which is acting on a body is directly proportional to mass of the body and acceleration. Or you can also say this acceleration produced in the body is equals to F divided by m. So acceleration produced in the body is directly proportional to the force acting on the body and inversely proportional to the mass of the body. So this is the second law of motion, that is F is equals to ma.